In this video, we're going to be looking at Ubuntu 12.10 keyboard shortcuts. Now, what are keyboard shortcuts? Well, put simply, they are key presses that you can use to invoke certain functions on your desktop, i.e. without using your mouse and the menu options. So let's first take a look at an overview of some of them that are available. If you hold down what Ubuntu calls the super key, and indeed Fedora calls the option key, but most of us know as the Windows key, it's a little key with the Windows flag on it. If we press that and hold it down, what you'll see is an overlay on your desktop of some of the common keyboard shortcuts that you can use to do various actions. So this is just a nice little handy reference if you forget something, want to know how to do it, just hold down that Windows or super key and this display will pop up on your screen, which is rather nice. Okay, if we just release the super key now, you'll see it disappears. So let's just take a quick tour of some of the interesting ones that are available. Let's first look at the Workspace ones. Now if I press down the super key and then press the S key while I'm still keeping it held down, I enter the Workspace switcher. So I can then use the arrow keys to switch between the workspaces. Let's go to Workspace 1. Just hit Enter key and there you go, I am taken to that workspace. Now an even quicker way to do that is to use a combination Control, Alt and then one of the arrow keys. So here you've got this little display here, you can see we're on Workspace 2, you can see my terminal and Audacity running, recording this video, and then I can use the down arrow to go to Workspace 4, Workspace 3 and then back to Workspace 1. And then as soon as I release those keys, I will stay in that particular selected workspace. Next, I think we'll take a look at some of the Windows shortcuts available. So one of the most important ones is to minimize all the windows to get to the desktop. So for instance, you've got icons in the background you want to go and click on. So if you use Control, Super and D, so you can see that all my windows are now minimized and I can get to my desktop. Another useful one is the super key plus W. So what that does is it gives you thumbnails of all the open applications in the current workspace. So you can see here I've got two applications open with two windows. One is the file manager and one is Firefox at my browser. Now if I click on the X here, I can actually just close the window directly from this display. Okay, and then I'm left with a single thumbnail, and if I click on that thumbnail I'll be taken to that window. So that's really quite a useful shortcut. Some other Windows shortcuts you might find useful are Control, Super and the arrow keys. So if I press now Control, Super, the left arrow, the window is sized to occupy the left side of the screen. If I press the right arrow, it's sized to fit on the right hand side of the screen. If I press the up arrow, I actually maximize the window, and if I press the down arrow, I restore it to the size it was before. So that's quite useful for Windows placement. So that's Control, Super and the arrow keys. Now one other really useful function I find is that sometimes I get the window sized so big that it won't actually fit on the desktop. So I need to resize the bottom of the window, but the bottom of the window is no longer visible. So a way you can do that is to use Alt and then the middle mouse button and then just drag the window into the size you want it. So in this case I can drag the bottom upwards and I can also drag the right hand side inwards to resize the window. Those are a few of the window keyboard shortcuts available. Now let's take a look at some of the application switching keyboard shortcuts. So like Windows, you can use the Alt tab to switch between applications on your desktop. So let's switch to one of the other workspaces. So here we've got two windows available. So if I do Alt tab now, you can see I can tab between my desktop, my terminal window and my Audacity. Now if these windows happen to be minimized, let's go back and minimize them now so we actually can't see them. One useful thing about them, if I go back in and do the Alt tab again, you can see I've still got my three icons, but if I can't remember exactly what I was doing in an application, I can just hit the back quote key at this stage and it gives me a thumbnail of what that window actually looks like. And I can then move to the next application using the arrow key and again tap the back quote character to get a representation of what's going on in that window and decide if indeed I want to switch to it. If I do, then I just release that Alt button and I'm taken directly to that window. So then, if we swap back to our other workspace, if you hold down the super key and press A, you can go straight to search applications. The same goes for things like your music library or video library. So super V would bring up search of your available videos. Super M brings up search of your music collection. Another thing to note is if you hold down the super key, you'll see that the applications in your launcher have a number overlaid on them. Okay, so this is the application number, and you can launch any of those applications by pressing super, then shift, and then the application number. So for instance, if I want to launch a file manager, it's super shift 1, and you can see immediately it starts up a file manager window. And hopefully that's given you a basic introduction to the sort of keyboard shortcuts available under Ubuntu 12.10. Thanks for watching.